Howdy, Noah Road here, just making a video diary since it's my first day back out on the road since, leaving St. Mary's. And this is where I'm going to camp for the night, my first night of camping. I'm just doing this as more of a video diary. I'm not going to get into any, philosophy or anything like that. Just showing how I do it. I probably made it about 6 or 7 miles. During this time of year, it gets dark so early, it's like 4 o'clock now, so in about a half hour, it's going to get pretty dark. So, I want to make sure that I found a spot in time before it gets dark. Because this time of year, you're in the woods. In this area here, I wasn't going to walk. The next area to camp is probably 2 hours down the line, And I got into here, this here is Laurel. And Laurel is really not good at all for camping. As you can see, look at all the snow in there. It's closer to the road than I was hoping. I wanted to be a little bit further into the woods, but anyways, I found this spot. This is what you do, especially when you're out east. Look at all that snow everywhere in the woods. But right here, you got a beautiful pine. This is what you want. You look for a pine and look at it. A nice smooth ground, and it even has some dry leaves. This is all dry. So what I did is I started to scrape, just below the dry leaves. It's still pretty damp. But I scraped the dry leaves together, made a bit of a bedding, and then I went over to that pine over there, and I started breaking off these little pine boughs. And the way I do it, I always make sure that, see the ends where they snap, where I snap them? I want those out. Because in the summertime, you get used to, you get patterns in how you do things. And in the summertime, a little sap comes out of that. And then if you put your tent on it, and it sticks on it like glue. So it's always good to put it, and plus this is a softer end anyway, So what I want to do real quick is something that I do is make sure I lie down after getting all the little sharp sticks that might poke up and making sure that there's no rocks or anything. I want to lay down and find out which direction I want to sleep on. Got a little bit of a lump here. Right here. Yep, that's a good spot. Then put the tent. Perfect. And there we have it. That there is, I'm about, probably about 6-7 miles south of St. Mary's. A little closer to the road than I wanted to be, but yeah, I kind of had to walk around to find this spot because I was a couple of 100 yards away. And see this is this isn't good. There's a lot of laurel in Pennsylvania. Down in Cambria County, it's pretty mountainous, higher hills than around here, and they call it the Laurel Highlands. The Kittatinny Mountain Range around the Friday the 13th, Camp Novi Bosco, where that was filmed. A lot of this kind of stuff. It's really hard to walk around in this. I'll tell you, it's really hard. Look at it. And the ground is all uneven. I mean, you would have to really take a saw, like a hand saw, and cut below the root level, and pull it all out, and in order to find a spot, level a spot off. It can be kind of good for camouflage because if you did do that, nobody would see your tent. But it's a pain in the ass to come in when you're tired from off of the road and find a spot and you're walking through. It's got all this snow, but first thing I did is say, I gotta find a pine. Because I knew once I found a pine, then there'd be a clear spot underneath it. But I didn't know it would be that nice. It's really nice. And I won't need to put my tarp up because tonight's going to be really nice. It's going to be like upper 20s or maybe 30. It's not going to be bad at all. My jug of water won't freeze. Tomorrow is going to be another decent day like we had today. So, I mean, we had a nice day. It's been in the mid 30s. You know, maybe 33, 34. No wind, very light, if any. The sun has been nice, you know, very few passing clouds. And it's supposed to be similar tomorrow. Now, Friday, it's supposed to get a little dodgy with some rain, a little sleet. And Saturday, I think the rain is going to clear up, and then it's just going to get a little cold Saturday and Sunday, but only at night and down around 18, 19, or 20. In the tent, 18, 19, or 20 will translate to about 27, 28 inside the tent. So as long as the weather don't get too dodgy, too bad, you know, too hard to deal with as far as rain and sleet and anything like that, no ice storms or nothing, or major snow events, then I should be pretty cool for a little while. That Arctic clip that we had hanging around was almost a month. It was really like one of the worst beginning of winters I've ever seen. And I notice when winter starts like that, usually once it breaks, it usually tapers down and the winter is not as bad. When the winter it is warm and it takes a long time for it to build up to a real bad Arctic blast of weather, then usually when it does, it just hits and it stays and stays all the way to May, you know, like it's just bad. So to me, it's a good sign. And it's kind of also another good sign because I left on the most perfect day that I could have, you know. So, I mean, it's been not very good at all for a long time. And right when I just could not stay anymore, that was the day that turned out to be the best. That's really cool. I'm feeling optimistic, cautiously optimistic, of course. But yeah, I think I'm going to pull through. I think it's going to be a decent night. There's going to be no rain. There's going to be no bad weather. And tomorrow it's supposed to be pretty good. And anybody that might be thinking like it's sad because it's Christmas Eve, I don't have any sentiment, you know, for Christmas. Like even when I was, I don't know, pretty mainline Christian in my thinking back in my late 20s, even by then I knew that Christmas was pretty fake. And I kind of rolled my eyes at it. You know, I mean, I would take advantage and benefit when I was homeless. And back in my early 20s, I was always, in mid 20s, I was always running the roads all around the country. And back then it was a lot of fun and you could panhandle and nobody bothered you. Even the cops really didn't bother you too much, except for once in a great while. And the panhandling was really great. You could, you know, get a couple of $100 real fast and outside of a mall, and, you know, or outside of a real big church where it had a winding road and they all had to stop, you know, before they turned down the main road. You know, it had like a winding driveway. It was like kind of a mega church kind of thing. Oh boy, you're really rolling the dough. But nowadays everything's, you know, just changing and stuff. So it's more harder. It's more serious. It's severe. You know, life is more severe because of, I think, what people have projected onto it, onto society, onto the outside world. The hell contagion within is what they project outside and onto other people. And that comes from more than just like, you know, 40-hour-a-week working class people who are kind of pricks. I think a lot of that comes from the poor people as well as the criminal types and these homeless people that are that build up these awful encampments and, you know, trash the environment and are dangerous and drug addicted, criminal, and, mentally ill. Like those people do the same thing. They project the hell contagion onto the world outside of them. So I don't mean like, hey, just everybody who's a 40-hour-a-week regular person who owns property and who has the wealth to support themselves are the only bad people. I mean, I don't mean it like that. People like me are sort of like sandwiched between two kinds of people who bring that projection into the world, or who project that hell contagion onto the world and onto us. There's like the regular people who are just struggling to maintain, the bills and their insurance and life insurance, and keep their family intact, and keep a marriage, and to keep health insurance, and to buy property, and to pay their taxes and the bills and their cars and so forth, and maybe scrape together enough to take a small vacation. There are those type of people that project a lot of that hell contagion onto the world, and onto people like me. But then you got the other end of the spectrum, and they are like the criminal types. Look at the jails. I mean, why do jails have to be so dangerous? Because of all the inmates, you know what I mean? So if the inmates didn't have this hell contagion that they were projecting on to the world and onto people like me, then we could actually kind of all get along, and we could heal, and we can recover 100% while in a place like jail. Could be a real place of correction and recovery, but no, everybody's got to have that hell contagion that they, project, from within onto the world and onto other people. So we got two ends of the spectrum that people like me and, the few of you that probably get what I'm talking about, we're sandwiched between those two spectrums of people who, unfortunately, project this hell contagion of rigidity and duality and so forth onto the world and onto us. It's not just people that work 40 hours a week, although, I see so many of them that do that. But look at the criminals. I'm sandwiched between those two spectrums, and it sucks. And the cops, they don't, imagine a world where police could be calm and the government would be reasonable, because people weren't, projecting all of that evil on to the world around them. If everybody was, like me, to the point where, at least, philosophically speaking, spiritually speaking, emotionally and mentally speaking, then we wouldn't really need locks on doors and stuff like that. We wouldn't have a hell contagion in the world. But yeah, I don't have any sentiment about Christmas anyways, just in case anybody is wondering or worried about me, or, concerned, and they think it's sad. I've rolled my eyes at Christmas ever since my mid to late 20s. I'm telling you, I always thought it was kind of fake. I mean, when I was a child, I liked it. It was the tail end of, like, the movie, what was it called? A Christmas Story. With "You'll shoot your eye out, kid," and all that stuff. I mean, I grew up in that era. That was definitely my generation. So I experienced Christmas when it did have that spirit to it and that energy in it. But it's gone, People try to recreate it every year, but I think that people just get more and more kind of fake and disappointed. I think people are, I'm talking not the have-nots. I mean, the have-nots and homeless people. I'm not saying they get bitter. I mean, the people that have things, have enough, I think they're the ones that are actually more bitter around Christmas. I mean, they set out with the intention to be, let's spread Christmas cheer, Christmas spirit, let's be nice. But by the time Christmas starts to approach, I think they just get their nerves, they're a bundle of nerves. And they're just not as happy as they thought Christmas spirit was going to make them. And they're just kind of left in the lurch, and and then Christmas comes and Christmas goes, and they're just more stressed out than anything. And that is really the energy, or the dark spiritual residue of Christmas. That's all we really got, is a dark spiritual residue. And I, at 56, I grew up in the the Christmas Story era, and it wasn't so bad back then. It really did have an energy and a spirit to it that cannot be recreated, and nothing nowadays can really touch that. Just like when I first left home and was hitchhiking around and camping out, when I first got this into my blood, yeah, it was really, it had a good energy that was really real, and you just can't recreate it or touch it anymore. I mean, I'm doing a pretty good job riding this out between those two spectrums that I mentioned, you know, the more 40-hour-a-week people who are scraping together a living and keeping their family together, and health insurance and car payments and so on and so forth. And that group of people that project a hell contagion into the world. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is more of the criminal types, and their projection of their hell contagion onto the world and onto people like me. And I'm kind of like riding this, you know, tightrope, this highway tightrope right in between the two. And I think it's pretty remarkable that that it has been, that somehow I don't want to take the credit for it, because I think there's more to this than just me. But whatever it is, it's keeping this thing going, you know. And I'm intact, healthy and stuff. My body worked really good today. I was really happy with it. My knee was really kind of a little touchy this summer. It was enough to give me some concern. And if I didn't stay up here as long as I did and didn't have some help with a couple of friends, time off of the streets and things like that when I needed it, and if I didn't have that gym, and if I wasn't working out and things like, but if I didn't have this last couple of months of recovery, in fact, you know, I think my knee may have blown out, but it's like totally recovered. I'm really surprised. But this is a great little spot. These pines, they got great root network, so even if the ground is damp, they're not too damp. So you could lay out, as long as you got a little bit, you know what I mean? But you see that? That's really nice. I did a good job there. This is a beautiful little spot. It's too close to the road. I was wanting to be a little bit deeper and quieter, but hey, tomorrow is Christmas, and one of the things I do like about Christmas is the first few hours of the day is so quiet. It's almost like you can hear a pin drop, you know. The whole world just is quiet. That's the coolest thing about Christmas. It's the only thing that I still appreciate about it. Other than that, like I say, I just think the whole thing is fake. You know, even back when I was more in line with like mainstream Christianity thinking in my mid to late 20s, even then, I was rolling my eyes at Christmas. You know what I mean? I kind of like knew it was fake. So, anyways, to all, a good night. I'm going to have a good night. And I had a wonderful day. It really could not have worked out any better. I feel like I'm already healing, recovering, you know, and I feel like I've almost detoxed a little bit. It's just, wow. I didn't sweat, but if it was any warmer, there'd probably be a few bugs. I ain't kidding you. It's been a really lovely day. Well, anyway, I just wanted to say hi and just leave this as a video diary. I put up 3 videos today. I'm sure people are getting tired of seeing them. If you're still listening, hey, thank you. You know what I mean? I'm just speaking some thoughts here, and I hope there's somebody that enjoys it or whatever and follows me, and they contribute some positive energy to the channel and stuff. That'd be great. But I can understand if people get tired and bored of this stuff. Well, anyways, I really am truly going to have a good night's sleep, I think. Unless there's some unforeseeable event, some crazy animal starts, tearing in my tent at night or something. I don't think that'll happen. But maybe there'll be some coyotes at night when it's quiet. If there is, I'll try to record some sounds. Because every now and then around here you hear, coyotes. You know, and this almost sounds like lycanthropes, like werewolves or something out there. So it gets a little scary. Sometimes it sounds like there's 20 of them together. You wonder, gosh, what are they going to do if they actually, a whole pack of them, you know? But, yeah, I think that sometimes there's only 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and they just sound like there's a lot of them. And from what I hear, they never really bother anybody. I remember I saw one in the woods once when I was walking towards night, and it was coming out, and it just had the most beautiful hop. It was just sort of like how a dolphin jumps and makes that beautiful arch like that from under the water and then above the water and then right back, and it just keeps going like this. That's kind of like how it did. It was really beautiful. It didn't bother me at all. Didn't even hardly make a noise. I was like, wow, that is really amazing. I only saw one. You know, I mean, I hear them, and I'm glad I don't have them come up on my camp. But if they do, I'll definitely make a quick short video. Sooner or later, one of these days, I'll be camping, and there'll definitely be some coyotes off in the distance, and I'll be hearing them, and I'll hopefully record some. Anyways, I hope everybody has a lovely night, and if Christmas means something to you, you know, then I hope you have a lovely Christmas and a great New Year and all that stuff. With that said, I guess I'm rambling on and on. Noah Road with his video diary. Over and out for now. Ooh.